Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to be discussing the next in my 5 best and 5 worst series, and today we are going to be talking about Dior. Now so far I believe I have done this for Charlotte Tilbury, I've done it for Natasha Denona, and today I thought we would go for Dior because this is another brand that I typically really love, but there are some products that just are not worth that splurge. So let's hop into it. I'll start with the 5 worst so we can end on a high note. Not all of these are bad quality, but they're just really not worth the money. So the first product is the new Dior Over Volume Mascara. Now I don't hate this mascara. I actually quite like it. I like the volume that it gives to my lashes. The packaging is really pretty as well. It's probably one of the prettiest mascara tubes that I have. The wand is actually more of a rubber bristle wand, which is not my favorite. I just find the bristles can sometimes be a little too harsh if you do get too close to your lash line. I do like the shape of the wand though. I love that it has this hourglass shape, and I love that it has these little spikies on the end so you can really work on those lashes on the inner and outer corners. Now I feel like this does give a really nice curl to the lashes. I feel like it is of course very volumizing. It definitely makes my lashes look very thick. The problem is that it does get quite clumpy. If you apply just one coat too many, it will get very clumpy, and that's just not something that I personally like in a mascara. This is also incredibly difficult to take off at the end of the day. It is so unbelievably messy, which I don't love, so my entire face is just covered in mascara every time I try to take this off with my cleansing balm, so I don't necessarily love this one. Sometimes I really like what it does for my lashes, but if I go too far with it, I just feel like it ruins everything. So for that reason, I would not repurchase this, and I don't necessarily recommend it. I am definitely pretty tough on mascaras. I do not think that you need to splurge to get a good mascara, but I do think that some high-end mascaras might be worth it. It's just I don't think that this one necessarily is. I think it's good, but we have better. The next product I actually have in a little mini sample size, but this is the Lip Maximizer, and I think this is in the shade 001. So this is the more translucent milky baby pink. So this one is a nice little plumper. It is on the more intense side, but it's not the most intense that I've ever tried. I find that even though this is a mini, even on the full-size version of these, the applicator just seems so tiny for what it is. I think the formula is nice. It's not too sticky. It does give a really nice glossy shine to the lips. I do think these look really pretty. That being said, I do have things that are shinier. I have things that add a little bit more pigment that just do more in general. While the outer packaging is cute, I just don't think this is worth the $40 or $50 that you're paying for this. I think some brands, such as Lawless, for example, can do a lip plumper so much better and so much more affordably. Even the ones from Charlotte Tilbury, I think, are more worth the splurge than this one. So while I think it's pretty, it's definitely not worth the giant price point. Like I said, we just have some products that cost a lot less or even just a little bit less, but that just do so much more. Okay, next is actually the Dior Backstage eyeshadow palettes. Now, I don't hate these, and I do think that these are definitely for a specific audience. I think some people are really going to like these palettes. These are nice. The packaging is, of course, all translucent, so you can really see your shades, which I do like. I know these are sort of made for runway fashion shows, professional makeup artists. That makes total sense. So these are on the more lightly pigmented side. They are buildable, but like I said, they are a more sheer to buildable formula. Some people might really like that, and sometimes I certainly do. My issue with these is that though there are different finishes in here, we have mattes, we have satins, we have shimmers, I just don't feel like they're that different. I really just don't feel like the shimmers stand out very much at all from the other shades in here. The shimmers may as well just be one of the satins, and that they aren't very shiny and they have the slightest amount of sparkle to them. I just don't love that personally. So for that reason, I don't think these are the best. I know the Backstage line is kind of the more, I use this term loosely, but affordable version of Dior. I just don't think that these are necessarily worth it. If they come out with another one of these, I kind of do want to try it because I am curious. Maybe it's just this one that I don't necessarily love, but I like the colors in here. I like the shades. It's just, I feel like there's just not enough difference in all the finishes, I think is what it comes down to for me. It's not terrible, but it's not that great. Next is a product. I'm not 100% sure if these are still available. I think they are, but this is one of their Rouge Blush Color and Glow Duos, and this is in Dior Riviera. So I believe these came out for summer 2024. I think they had some blush and highlight duos, and I think they had some contour and highlight duos. Now the blush in here I think is really pretty. I love this sort of pinky color. This is on the very light side. I kind of have to work to build up this blush so that it actually shows. And being as fair as I am, if I have to work to build it up, someone deeper than me is really going to have a hard time with this. And I do think the highlighter is also pretty, but it does have glitter in it. So I don't love that as much. I just don't feel like this is the best work from Dior. In theory, I love this idea. I think they're so pretty and I can work with this, and I do love the packaging. It's just the products themselves really aren't that special. They're just not that pigmented. You've really got to work for it. And the highlighter itself is just very, very glittery. So I don't necessarily love this one. Again, I'm not 100% sure if they're still available, but I just feel like Dior has done better than this. And the last product on our worst of side might actually be a little controversial, but this is their new Dior Forever Nude Bronzer. I have the shade Light Matte. So this is one of the ones off their website. So I feel like Sephora has the jumbo size. The Dior website has these smaller ones. So first off, I do love the packaging of these. The packaging is beautiful. Now, like I mentioned, I ordered mine off of the Dior website. There were 8 shades available, but it's actually only 4 shades because each shade was available in a matte and a shimmery finish. So I got the matte. That is just my preference, and this is the lightest one that they have. This is heavily fragranced. Like very heavily fragranced, very floral, like how their foundations have that fragrance, but it's really more of a clean, fresh scent. This is very floral. And I think anyone who hates fragrance is gonna kind of hate these, but this is even a little bit strong for me. It is on the more sheer buildable side. I know I had that complaint about the Backstage palettes and the blushes, but the blush was just too light, whereas with a bronzer, especially one that's very warm, I do want it to be a little bit more sheer buildable because I am so fair, and something that is too warm is just going to pull orange on me immediately. So I really do like to have that control to build it up if I want to. So I do like that this one in particular is on that more sheer side. But this is just way too warm for me. I am not at all inclined to reach for this, especially over my beloved Lancome bronzer that I've been raving about for the past year and pretty much haven't stopped using. The new ABH bronzer I have been loving so hard. I just feel like there are so many bronzers I love ahead of this. So I just don't feel like I personally love these from Dior. I know so many people do. It's just the shade's way too warm, and that fragrance, it really hits you like a ton of bricks. So don't love this one. But let's get into my top 5 because the top 5 is a good top 5. So first we'll start with the complexion products. The first thing is the Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. I love this product. I believe this came out last year, maybe around the same time as the Face Duos. I have shade 0. Now I love this. This is kind of like Dior's take on the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. This is designed to be used as a prep step. You can use it as a liquid highlight. You can mix it in with your foundations. And this just gives such a beautiful glow, but it's not intensely glowy. It's not going to give you that almost metallic leaning glow that the Charlotte Tilbury sometimes can. So that is something I absolutely appreciate about this. This is kind of like just a more refined version, and I love it. This has also really helped me with a lot of foundations. I had the Dior Forever Glow Foundation. that I know is a cult favorite. I have that one, but I got it in shade 1N because I thought that was correct. And that shade has always been too deep for me, and as a result, I thought I hated that foundation. I don't, it's just the wrong shade. But when I mix it with this, it makes the shade work for me, and I end up loving that foundation. So this has absolutely helped me with that foundation and a bunch of others to mix it in and help me get a better shade match. So that's been immensely helpful as well. I love the finish. I love the way this sits on my skin. I love the way it feels. It's so lightweight and it's glowy without being greasy. It's just a fantastic product. I don't necessarily want to recommend something more expensive than the Charlotte Tilbury, but I have to say, if you are interested in the Charlotte Tilbury or you love that one, this is so much better. Sticking with their complexion products for a minute, the Dior Forever Hydro Nude Foundation. This one came out at the beginning of this year. Again, I have the shade 0N, and I love this foundation. You can probably see I'm around down to here at this point. I love this because it is so lightweight. It's just really skin-like. So it doesn't dry down fully matte. It has that more satin feel, but it does dry down and it doesn't have any of that tackiness, so I don't actually have to set this if I don't want to. This also gives me a gorgeous medium coverage, which is exactly what I'm looking for. It blends out so easily, so effortlessly. I have to put in like no time to apply this, and I just always love how flawless and skin-like I look. The only foundation so far that really beats this one is definitely my NARS Light Reflecting. I don't know if my love affair with that foundation will ever come to an end, but this just makes my skin look incredible. And definitely one of the best from Dior. I've never tried their matte foundation, but I do tend to lean toward more hydrating options given that I do have a drier skin type. The shade 0N is absolutely perfect for me as well. And I touched on earlier the scent in some of these products. This one is really more of a clean, fresh scent, which I really do appreciate. So I don't mind this fragrance at all. And the last complexion product in our best of Dior is their Forever Skin Contour Stick. This is fantastic. So this is in 1 Light, so the lightest shade that they have. The packaging actually matches the foundation sticks that came out at the same time, but the packaging on this is that matte black rather than the glossy black of the foundation sticks, and the logo is also a black. Now the shade of this is also beautiful and easy to work with. The only contour stick that blends easier than this is the new ABH contour stick. I thought this was incredibly easy. That one is somehow even easier, but what I love is how creamy these are, how easily they apply to the skin. They blend out effortlessly, but they don't blend away, and they sheer out, so it's never too much. They're just so incredibly easy to work with. They dry down, they lock in on the skin, so they don't move around or go anywhere throughout the day. It just looks fantastic all day long. And again, I put in no effort to work with this, so that is something I really, really appreciate. I don't know that I was expecting that from Dior, but they nailed it with this one. The next product is actually a lip liner, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about these, probably because they're very pricey for a lip liner, but this is their Dior Rouge Contour Lip Liners. I have the shade Nude Blush. These are fantastic. So on one end you do get that pencil liner, on the other end you do get a brush, and the brush is actually very easy to work with. It's stiff, but it's not too stiff. I know some liners that come with these brushes on the end, they're so stiff there's no way you could work with them. This is the perfect texture to use to blend the liner into the lips and just blend those edges. This is also more of sort of a gel type of liner, so once it dries down, it is truly, truly budge proof. It applies incredibly creamy. It just glides right on the lips. It's not at all uncomfortable. It doesn't tug, but it also doesn't feather and bleed into the lines around the lips. But once it dries down, it's absolutely budge proof. And for that reason, I really love these Dior liners. They are so, in my opinion, underrated. However, I do understand that they are incredibly pricey for a liner, so maybe that's why. But these are actually so, so good. They're definitely one of my favorites. And rounding out my top 5 is actually the new Quint eyeshadow palettes from Dior. I don't know if that's actually what they're called, but I've heard a lot of people call them the Quint palettes because they do have that texture to them. So that's what I'm going with here. I have Rose Organza and Brown Cashmere. So first off, when I got these, the packaging kind of surprised me. I did think it was going to be that sort of faux leather packaging like the YSL quads. It's not. It is just a hard plastic, so that was surprising. but these eyeshadows really did impress me. In the past, I feel like the Dior Quints have either been very hit or miss. Some of them, they're just so lightly pigmented, there's really nothing special. But the formula on these, in my opinion, is the best I've ever experienced from Dior. The mattes are more pigmented than usual, but they're incredibly buttery and creamy and easy to work with. They're not sort of so creamy that they're kind of like a cream to powder like you would get from YSL, but they are very, very creamy. And they look stunning on the lids. The shimmer shades in here, also gorgeous. And then these more pop shades, like in this one, it's the white one. Over here, it's the gold. Those shades are so incredibly sparkly, but just beautiful, elevated. They don't enhance texture on the lids. They just look absolutely stunning. They last all day long. These just look so beautiful, and I always love how the look comes together. I just feel very sophisticated and elegant every time I wear one of these, and I'm never disappointed in the formulas. I think both of these shades are pretty. I do tend to lean a little bit more toward brown eyeshadows, but this pink one really has my heart as well. I just think they're both so stunning. I love the packaging, and in my opinion, these are the best eyeshadows that I've ever had from Dior. I do have one of their single shadows, and I love that too. It's just, I put these in here instead. But that is it for me today. Let me know down below, what are your favorite products from Dior? Is there anything you don't like? Let me know that too. And what brands do you want to see me do this series with next? This series is a lot of fun for me, so let me know down below what you want to see next in terms of the 5 best and 5 worst. But that is where we'll leave it for today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.